The second one I'd like to talk about is Telederm. Now, Telederm is as you've seen the map of Australia, Telederm is a store and forward telehealth system where a GP in the middle, wherever they are, whether city or country, can basically take a photo of a condition, send it off to a dermatologist and get an answer. Now, our federal government decided that it didn't want to fund it anymore. So again, through a very intense social media campaign, we're able to raise this important issue, and currently we've been refunded to continue Telederm for another couple of years. And finally, our most recent social media advocacy is the Scrap the Cap campaign. Now, our government, our federal government is, like most governments, obviously suffering from some financial problems, perhaps not as bad as Europe. But the other day, they decided in the federal budget that they would knock back the cap on self-funded education expenses. So what I'm saying is the ability to claim back some tax concessions for self-funded education down to $2,000. So as you probably know, $2,000 is about as much as it pays just to get the subscription to one conference. So we've started up a campaign which involved Facebook, it involved Twitter, it involved LinkedIn, it involved blog sites and websites. Basically, getting that message across, it was picked up by the mainstream media and picked up by politicians right across Australia. Now, at this moment, and I was going to read them out, but essentially we're up to, well, we had stories, we allowed people to come and tell their story online. So this is a map where people where people are from, where they've told their story. We've put out the message on all sorts of media. And now that signature, this only started last Thursday. Okay, this campaign only started last Thursday. We now have 4,500 signatures. We've had over 17,000 views of the website, and we've reached over 78,000 individual people through a social media campaign. So what social media can do can really strongly advocate for your issues, okay? And it can really bring people together, because we've got 4,500 doctors now who've signed up to this petition. What happens, of course, that it all gets then automatically sent off to the health minister, whose email inbox is probably full of doctors at the moment. So very, very powerful. And this is where I really got into it when I took over the role as the Rural Doctors Association of Queensland President, starting to use social media to really enable getting that message for rural doctors out there. So the third point, social media empowers education. Now, how do you can educate somebody in 140 characters? And I just wanted to show you just one example where I went to a conference recently and we were doing some stuff on family planning. And what I did was we were having a chat around managing implant-on bleeding and whether to use the pill or mefenamic acid or whatever. I was able to provide a PDF article online that people watching my Twitter feed could go to reference and to see what was happening. And I got some feedback from Penny Wilson, and Penny calls herself Nomadic GP, and Penny works in Aboriginal health organisations in Central Australia. Now, Penny tweeted back, "Thanks for your RDOQ tweets, Fly Texan. I'm reassured that what you're saying is more or less in line with my current practice." So Penny was sitting in the middle of Australia, watching what I was tweeting, downloading the information that I was giving her, and she was reaffirmed that what she was doing was really relevant and she was up to date. That's really powerful. If I could just mention Foam Med. Now that's a hashtag, as Harris has mentioned. One of the problems you've identified is how do you pull all this stuff together? How do you actually make sense of it? Now Foam Med, if you put that into your search of Foam Med, you'll actually pull together a lot of stuff around free, open access medical education. So what we're talking about is the blog sites, starting to make sense of blog sites. How do you decide what to look at? So using Foam Med hashtag, for example, you can start to see what people are talking about, see what the topical issues are. And if I could identify this gentleman here as a fellow I'd recommend that you follow, Sand and Surf. Now, Sand and Surf is Mike Cadigan. Haven't met him personally, but I've met him on Twitter, which until I met Raquel and Harris today, I'd known them very well on Twitter. He's an emergency physician in Western Australia, and he was one of the originators of FoamMed. He's very passionate about medical education. His blog site is exceptional. It's a really great wealth of information, but also the beauty of Twitter, the beauty of the social media is you can start to branch out and follow your own interests, because there are other clinicians with specific interests who are writing about important things. Social media engages the mainstream media. I spoke a little bit about the advocacy campaigns that I was talking about. This is an unapologetic advertisement for Rural Doctors Queensland. We're a very proactive rural doctors movement, and I'd like to acknowledge our President-elect, who's in the second front row just there, Tora. So we had a conference recently, and through using social media, we were able to raise awareness of the conference and be able to generate headlines around what we were doing. We wanted to get our message out there again. This is not directly about advocacy, this is just about getting our message out there. So we had our state health minister. He loves to come to rural doctors conferences because he can make announcements, and as long as they're good announcements and we agree with them, he can have a headline. But he's got to say the right thing, otherwise he's not allowed to come. And this is our outgoing president and our incoming president. So again, there's some lovely photos from them. And finally, social media engages patients. And Naomi has identified some of the significant reluctance around putting it out there. Now, the fact is with social media, the best guide I think for social media is if what you put out there, if you don't want to read it on the back of a postcard, if you wouldn't write it on the back of a postcard, then don't put it in social media. I've had actually no problems with patients stalking me, luckily, but it is a risk, and it's a risk that we have to manage in our professional lives, I guess. I've had patients quite the opposite. Patients often follow me on Twitter and will sometimes tweet back to me and give me some feedback on what I'm talking about. And I mean, you've got to accept that. But if I could recognise Edwin Crees. Now, Edwin is a GP in Western Australia, in Geraldton. Now, he has, and I'd recommend actually to go and have a look at what he's done. He's got Twitter account, he's got his blog, and he's got his Facebook page online. Now, what he does is really probably best practice, I guess you'd say. He educates his patients through the Facebook page. He provides really interesting information, say, about travellers' health, about, in Australia, the billing issues. It allows people to be able to contact him and to be able to talk to him about really important issues. And he's unapologetic and he's unafraid to say what he wants and what he means. And you've got to be getting comfortable with that, and you've got to be able to defend what you say. His blog, The Doctor's Bag, is an excellent blog. It's a very reflective blog, and it talks very much about a lot of the important issues that we as GPs face. Again, a guy that I think exemplifies best practice in engaging patients. So I've spoken a little bit about a few aspects of social media. I've spoken about the fact that it reduces isolation. I've spoken about that it improves advocacy, and our latest campaign just shows how effective it is at influencing government, influencing policy. I've spoken to you a little bit about education. Now, I've really only just skimmed the surface of all that because I've only got 10 minutes and Raquel was going to throw something at me if I went over time. So I wanted to thank you very much for a brief commentary around social media and how I see it used in Australia. And of course, being from Australia, I couldn't leave without a photo of a kangaroo. So anyway, this is the road out of my house on the way to work, and this was last Friday actually. So the kangaroo quite generously presented for a photo opportunity. But thanks very much, guys, and enjoy the conference.